little bit behind, as if time were something real. So, welcome to everybody, including those who are joining us through video streaming. Is that correct, John? From elsewhere, and it's going to be a little bit challenging to get the camera around to all places, but we've got a system. So I'm going to diverge from the program a little bit and turn this right over to Clara, and I will do introductions in just a second.
Welcome to all, to those of you who are here and visiting us in our new building, and to those who are here by virtue of live streaming technology. Thank you for all your support and for visiting with us here. We're here to celebrate new beginnings in new spaces. First, a physical space, our new building. Second, an academic space, our full ALA reaccreditation until 2018. And third, an innovative space, our new identity, IDEA, for information, diversity, engagement, and access. Why IDEA? Because it builds on our mission, that is, the UNCG Department of Library and Information Studies connects people, libraries, and information through research, teaching, and service to enrich living and working in a global environment. Why IDEA? Because as Henry Louis Gates Jr. stated, and I quote, "Ours has been called an information age, but though information has never been more plentiful, ideas are what shape and reshape our world," end of quote. So at UNCG LIS, we are about ideas, information, diversity, engagement, and access through scholarship, scholars, students, studies, school, services, and much more. We are celebrating new beginnings based on building blocks that form the foundation of a vibrant UNCG LIS program. What are these building blocks? Let me share 10 building blocks or 10 reasons for the strength and excellence of UNCG LIS here. So I'll start with number 10. And for some of you who are familiar with David Letterman, then this might be familiar with you. So let's start off with number 10. We are about the following core values: advocacy, authentic practice, collaboration, creativity, diversity and inclusiveness, and entrepreneurship. Number 9, engagement with key library issues and leadership. Our annual IDEO Summit is a dialogue with our communities on information, diversity, engagement, access, and libraries. Please join us this year on November 14th as we discuss rethinking the local, reimagining libraries in a flattening world. Our national leadership engagement in 2010-11 included visits by 5 American Library Association presidents, including our own Marilyn Miller, who is in our audience today. Additionally, our engagement with state leadership includes incoming North Carolina Library Association President Wanda Brown, who is here with us too, and she is a UNCG alumna. Adjunct faculty member Dr. Carol Jordan, who serves as Southeastern Library Association representative at NCLA, and State Librarian Mary Boone, who serves on our LIS Advisory Committee and is also here with us. So number 8, accreditation by the American Library Association and NCATE, as well as 100% praxis pass rate. Number 7, distance education. We have a strong regional presence offering education through our Charlotte campus, and in the past in Virginia and other regions of North Carolina. And soon, this blended approach that we've been using in our education will be complemented by the offering of an online program. Number 6, community engaged scholarship. Faculty and students conduct research that is community-centered and enhances equity of access to information. Number 5, international enrichment. Opportunities to interact with international scholars and students to study abroad or to learn virtually. This fall, we welcome our first iLead Fellows. ILEAD represents International Librarians Enhancing Access and Development. Our ILEAD fellows are Senem Ajar from Turkey and Mohammed Baray from Egypt, who's also a Fulbright scholar. Number 4, real learning experiences. We promote learning by connecting theory and practice. For example, the Real Learning Connections project with UNCG Libraries engages supervising faculty, practitioners, and students in collaborative learning. Number 3, diversity and inclusiveness. This is reflected in our scholarship, curriculum, faculty, and students, especially in our diversity scholarship program, ACE Scholars, a collaboration with UNCG Libraries, largely supported by an Institute of Museum and Library Services grant. Number 2, commitment to the power of ideas, where we create a space for all to explore, connect, and enrich. Then number 1, we are people-centered, and we really enhance this opportunity to create a supportive academic environment where our students and faculty thrive. So at this point, I want to invite all faculty to stand up. And although you won't be able to see them all in the camera, I want to recognize Dr. Lee Shiflett, Billy Durham, Linda Gann, Nora Bird, Julie Hirschberger, Anthony Chow, Bill Keeley, Fati Olus, and Jim Carmichael, and 2 other people who cannot be here with us, and that's Beth Martin and Sandra Andrews, who are now teaching in Charlotte. So thank you to all of you. And so on behalf of all of our faculty, let me thank you, our LIS community, for all the support that you've provided to us over the years. From our foundation and traditions to our new beginnings, let's explore, connect, and enrich. Thank you.
I think we have a new sobriquet for our chair. We have considered the sobriquet Dowager Empress, but we think that may be a little severe, although Tushar hasn't given us a final vote. So we're thinking of Energizer Bunny. This is by no means the most caustic thing we've ever said. We had a chair who was once known as she who must be obeyed, and we weren't kidding. We gave her a sweatshirt, and more about that later.
I bet you it down.
I should have kept that. Anyway, to give you very briefly, I'm going to give you a historical perspective, because around us today we have a PowerPoint presentation with old photographs we dug out of special collections, and we have probably a lot more to be found. I know I've cleaned out my own collection this month, and we have an exhibit upstairs in the hall which will be there about 2.5 months. So I encourage all of you who want to and are interested in visual accompaniment to the brief facts about our program to look at them. One was, we were the first accredited program in North Carolina. And this is not coming from a place of rancor about UNC, who always claims to be the first. Let's say that UNC lasted longer at a stretch, but Charles Stone came here to build on the library courses that Charles Shaw had been offering in 1927 from Peabody, where he had already established an accredited program for teachers. And after he left UNCG, he went to William and Mary College and started a library program there, which lasted until 1935. He got so disgusted with politics that he went to LaGrange, Georgia, and headed up the Women's College at LaGrange until he retired in 1963. But we did have a library school that graduated 5 classes of school librarians, some of whom went on to become quite notable people. Laurie Hoffman in our alumni office has put me in touch with a dear woman from the first class, Eloise Ward Phelps, who actually taught the first class in library science at North Carolina Central in 1943. And she was pulled in by Dr. James Shepard to do that. There are some fascinating aspects to our history, which is one reason we're trying to build an alumni database that is accurate. Then we go into a period of decline because of the Great Depression. And in case you haven't noticed, we're in one again. And the library has just announced to us that we are having a $1.1 million budget cut in materials at the library this year. And that is a sign. Of course, in the Great Depression, the University of Mississippi had no budget for 5 years. So, it's all comparative. One thing you can truly see is how we follow history in our program. We were reestablished by University Fiat in 1957 and actually pulled in the first faculty member in 1962 to start library instruction again because the Great Society was on the horizon. The Library Services and Construction Act had been passed, and so with Frankie Johnson, Mary Frances Kennan Johnson, we started offering library science classes in McNutt Building, not in Forney this time, in McNutt, and we stayed there until 1986. And in 1986, we moved to new quarters in the McNutt Building. Now, two significant events, one in 1975 when Dr. Ted Hines came here to head the program. He had a PhD, he had all of the academic credentials, and this is when we offered the first graduate degree in library science, first master's of library science in 1975. Until that time, and we do have representatives of the earlier period with us today, we offered a master's in education with a concentration in library science. And those are important distinctions. Heroes of that period were, and still are, Mary Frances Kennan Johnson, Frankie, Ted Hines, Gerald Shields, who went on for a career at ALA, and of course Mary Frances's husband, Ted, who was head of the media centers in the Greensboro City Schools. And so it's quite a remarkable record. In 1986, I think that's right, Dr. Marilyn Miller was called from Chapel Hill, where she was teaching all of the school courses, and to come to Greensboro. And at the same time, Dr. Fred Roper, who also is at Chapel Hill, went to head up this program at South Carolina. That's the kind of reputation Chapel Hill has. And I will tell one anecdote. That was the day that Marilyn Miller and she said, get in the van, we're going to Charlotte. You want to go with me? I'll buy you dinner. I said, fine. So we go to Charlotte, and there are 7 women in an old classroom at Charlotte. And Marilyn said, Jim, we are going to, Chapel Hill has abandoned these students. It's too far for them to drive. We cannot let them go. We are starting a distance education program for these girls. And I said, sure. And so the next week, I think it was, or maybe it was the next month, she told the faculty that in addition to doing that, she was going to run for president of ALA. Fine, we've got 7 faculty, we ought to be able, or 6.5, or is it 5.5? I'm not even sure. But we did it. And it was a glorious period. And in 1993, Maryland made the decision that since Virginia had never had a library education program since the beginning of time, we were just going to take on 5 cohorts in Virginia. 1 at Blacksburg, 1 at Roanoke, 1 at Charlottesville, 1 at Emory and Henry, and 1 at Clinch Valley, which later was merged with Emory and Henry. And we have a representative of those glorious years too. I have 1 photograph left, which shows about 90 term papers on my dining room table the week before Christmas, and I've got my arm in a sling from carpal tunnel, and I'm grading papers. And ironically, those papers were lost in the mail on their way back to Roanoke. They were waylaid in Pittsboro, North Carolina, in the post office for a week, and they still can't explain how that happened, but it did. And anyway, the other significant event I believe, was when Marilyn retired. We actually consolidated our distance education program. We could not continue the Virginia cohort, although we have continued to educate students from Virginia through the Common Market. And we consolidated it through formal agreements with the University of North Carolina at Charlotte and the University of North Carolina at Asheville. And finally, I would mark the period starting in with Clara Chu's presidency, when we started offering a national conference. We got promises of a new building, which our former chair, Lee Shiflett, helped to plan and went through hell, I'm sure, to get. And here we are today. So that's all I really want to say, because you all have much more vivid memories than mine. And I believe that Clara, at this point, has greetings to read us from one of our chairs, Keith Wright's widow, Judy Davy. And Judy Davy could not be with us today, but she sent greetings to us through Clara. And I'll turn it over to Clara.
Before I read some greetings from Judy, I wanted to just recognize Josh Hertel, and he's visiting here from the UNC Charlotte program. He is our coordinator for the Graduate Center there and provides support for our program. So thank you, Josh. As Jim indicated, Judy Davy Wright couldn't be here, but she does send her greetings. Judy and Keith Wright were faculty members, with Keith being a past department chair. And at this moment, I want to recognize Keith Carter Wright, who passed away on December 12, 2010, for his many contributions to the UNCG LIS program, for his leadership in our initial ALA accreditation, his administration of various distance programs, and to sharing his wisdom and knowledge with our students. Judy noted that Keith loved teaching. He came to UNCG in 1980 to work with his mentor, Dr. Ted Hines, and to facilitate the study for initial accreditation by the ALA for the department, which occurred in 1982. On one of their Sunday morning excursions last fall, Keith and Judy drove through the campus and noted the construction progress of the education building. He remarked that he hoped the faculty got offices with windows, but without any of the playground noise that they encountered in the old building. Judy sends her congratulations on the successful completion of renewal of our ALA accreditation and best wishes for continued success in making a difference in the lives of children and adults. She wishes to thank us for our support of her at this point, and I also want to say that because of them, they've made a difference in the department and in the community.
Now, one more greeting to read, and we'll get to the real juicy part, which is not unscripted. A graduate of 19, the second class of graduates, a Master of Library Science, was Gloria Miller, who is media coordinator for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, and just has been a tireless advocate for our department and for our students. So she sent us this message. July 3rd, 1974, the departmental chair called me in the dorm and said, UNCG is prepared to offer you a fellowship to complete your master's degree and supervisor's certification. That was Frank. It was at UNCG that I learned that reference is more than just finding answers. It is customer service. I learned about beautiful writing and peeling back layers of onions and applying intelligent thought to an assignment. The full year of study at UNCG would open my eyes to what the world of library and information studies was really like. I would see, hear, and experience things I could never find off campus. There were the catalog cards, Dewey classifications, and subject headings that quickly led me to recognize that library science was an art, not a science. This 5-year plan was the test of endurance. And those awful reference questions made me wonder why someone would give such assignments. At every turn, the professors acted as if I had only his or her class. Gee, I wonder who she's talking about. What I experienced at UNCG prepared me for the job in the second largest school district in North Carolina, where multitasking and tons of work greet me each day. The buzz, the energy, and the rush of 74-75 in action made me realize that I had passion and resilience and never wanted to do anything else, and I haven't. Years later, I'm still in Charlotte and Mecklenburg schools, having worked my way through most media library-related jobs in the district. And it started because a lady named Mary Frances Keenan Johnson took a chance on me, perhaps saw something in me I did not see myself. I was nurtured with encouragement and good humor in quiet and reassuring ways, and you should know by now that UNCG means the world to me. UNCG was, when I arrived, and remains now, peopled by extraordinary professors who care deeply about mutually shared work. UNCG was great for me, and it's great for all the graduates of the program who have been hired as media specialists in Charlotte Mecklenburg schools. Don't forget that. So that's from Gloria. And now I'm going to try to put this in more or less chronological order in terms of when people were at school. And so if I get it out of here, actually that's not true. I just realized we're doing chairs first. Finally had time to look at the program. Okay, we're starting with She Who Must Be Obeyed.
I went to Chapel Hill as a faculty member and really intended to retire there. I don't mean not to do, wasn't going to do anything, but I thought I would surely stay there. And one day, Cora Paul Bomar came to me and said, "We want you to think about coming to Greensboro." And I did think about it, and I thought, well, do you remember Archie and Mehitabel by Don Marquis from the 20s? Mehitabel was a mangy cat who lived in the catacombs of Rome, and she would come over to the United States occasionally in this little boat. And she would always say, "What the hell, Archie? There's a dance in the old dame yet." And so I thought of that line, and I thought, well, I can do that. I can go to Greensboro. And I did come, and it certainly was several years of wonderful challenges and opportunities. We had 4 faculty members, including me, and Liz. Remember Liz Meeks, who was with us for many years. And we had a great deal. Immediately, we needed to apply for accreditation again to do a self-study. So we had all that. We were successfully granted accreditation. I'm not sure why. I think it was on the quality of faith in what we were aiming to do. And we did accomplish that. We eventually grew to 7 faculty members. We examined and revised curriculum, which every dean or chair wants to do immediately, maybe every few years, in the tenure. We wanted to recruit very good students, and I think we did. We added a certification program for those who wanted to be district coordinators. And we had meetings, and we had meetings, and we had meetings. But seeing this wonderful facility and all you have in technology, let me tell you about technology. One of my requests to come here was for a computer. I don't remember whether Liz had one or not, but I think she had an Apple. And we worked with those 2 computers. And then I decided I wanted a fax machine. And I believe we were working for computers for all the offices, but where we got the money for this, I'm not sure. I swore up and down to someone that I hadn't gone to on the street to get the money, but it was tough because we were very poor. Got a fax machine, and it was a revolution in the School of Education. Dan, were you back there? Did you use our fax machine years ago?
You set directions that said safe faxing.
That's correct. We also made the department, we sent the department chairs a bill for so much money a month because we needed paper, we needed toner, we needed all these things. One brave soul who did not know that I was to be obeyed refused to pay it, so he couldn't use it anymore. That was that. And then the dean stepped in and solved the argument by buying a fax machine. All right. We now have telephones, computers, a fax machine, and then how on earth this program developed with off-campus programs. I didn't know what an uplink was, much less a downlink. But that didn't take long to figure out. Someone explained. I was bright enough to catch up on that. We had 5 programs in Virginia and 2 in North Carolina, Charlotte, Nashville, and the ones that Jim mentioned. And this was an amazing burden on the faculty, who are also learning new techniques of working with this system and preparing the kinds of materials that could be used with classes every place, and Greensboro. We never saw those, few of those students came on campus from those programs, and it was an exciting time. And besides being ALA president, accepting many work opportunities from the dean, a great faculty who stepped in, as I am sure Clara has a great faculty and these wonderful facilities. She's outlined a marvelous mission statement for the future of the program, and the people I've met certainly seem to have the energy to pull this off. Oh, I have to tell you one story about the distance education program. One day, the students were all listening to Dr. Carmichael. I believe it was in academic libraries in Asheville. And all of a sudden, up on the screen came the veterinary school with a lecture on the care and maintenance of horses. You know, Dr. Carmichael has such a marvelous sense of humor, but he didn't think it was funny.
They did have the camera on his rump.
Oh, that's right. That's right. And I believe Dr. Carmichael's famous statement when we finally kind of calmed him down was, "Oh, well, you all know I'm just a horse's ass anyway." So, with spirit and humor and good work, good students, you have a wonderful future ahead, and I commend you and congratulate you. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. Lee, could I ask you to come up? This will be easier. Dr. Lee Shiflett was department chair until Dr. Chu got here. And I think I'm responsible. He can blame me for ruining his life.
I've been blaming you for years.
I know you have.
I came to UNCG in the fall of 2001 as a replacement for Keith Wright, who had been chair at Maryland. I have known Keith for a number of years. I've known Jim Carmichael for many, many more years. Pam Barron for even more years than that, who was a former faculty member who retired, and B. Kovacs for a number of years also. And after spending 21 years at Louisiana State University on the faculty, knowing every crack in the wall of every building on the campus too intimately, I decided it was time to do something else. And I'm always glad that I did that. When I came here, we were, of course, it actually a raise in my standing in the community. I was on the second floor of Coates Hall at LSU, and on the third floor of the Curry building. And with a brief decline to the basement of Curry, I'm now on the fourth floor of this building. So I keep going up in the world after this. You know, the changes that have been made in the program and the situation in the last decade, there have been a great many. Of course, we had the program in Asheville, which essentially was face-to-face television, which has been dropped. We are moving at this point more and more into online access to the MLIS program, which I think is going to be a very significant factor in the continued and future success of the program. And under the direction of Clara Chu, I think we have a very bright future. Thank you.
And before we leave faculty,